We will wait a couple more minutes. I know we have more people going to dial in, so it'll be a short meeting today, so no worries about running over. I'm going to give it till 6:35, then we will start. So why don't we get going? I think there'll be a couple more people joining us, but let's get going now. So Kevin, would you mind saying your magic words first, please?
Sure. Welcome, everyone. If this is your first time joining us virtually, you will notice that you are currently muted, and everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting except for Paul and any presenters. As we move through the agenda, Paul will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by going to the React icon on your device and pressing the raise hand button, not the wave or thumbs up, those will disappear. Only press it once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. If you're calling in on the phone, it is *9 to raise hand and *6 to unmute. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once Paul calls on you. The chat is available for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems, not to ask Paul any questions. He will not see the chats. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you'll need to go to participants section where you'll find the raise hand feature there. Please not raise your actual hand away from the screen because we may not be able to see you. Chat me, I'm here for support. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So welcome from me. I'm Paul Crickler. I'm chair of this Roosevelt Island Committee of Community Board 8. Welcome to all those people for whom it's the first time this evening. This will be a very short meeting. We always try and keep it tight, but I think we haven't got a huge amount on the agenda. So I'm going to start off now with something, Bryant, I believe, if we can unmute Bryant, please. I
Hey, can
believe
you hear me?
before you get going, I believe this is 2 years since you've been working on Roosevelt Island this month. Is that
Paul,
correct?
Paul, you're very sweet for remembering that. Yes,
So can
this
you please,
Friday will be my 2-year anniversary with React.
lovely. So there's a couple of people want to say a couple of words. First of all, can we please unmute Frank Ferentz?
Well, Brian, you've done such a wonderful service for the community. I've been a resident here for 45 years, and I would say I can't think of a communications director that has done the job as well as you have. I think you've been very valuable to just making a lot of the little things. You've been accessible. You decided to put up the desks, and have your regular meetings. And I think all those little things, the hands-on stuff, is really what's made a big difference to the community and also to the Roosevelt Island Residents Association. And you're a great dad. So there we go. Thank you.
Nice one, Frank. Listen, Bryant, there were a couple more people who wanted to say something, but they're not here. I
This,
want to say something as well. Since weeks into your arrival here, I was very lucky to have a chance to meet with you. And for those who don't know, we didn't really have very accessible, friendly relations with Riok at the time. It was the opposite. And you dove straight in and tried to help me solve a couple of problems straight away, and you didn't stop. And I've seen the countless people on the island who you spend time with. So we all appreciate the work you're doing. I know that there are things that we don't love about what Riok's doing at times, but that doesn't reflect on you personally. You've been only stellar and very helpful to us all. So I think I'll stop now. Did anybody else want to say anything to Bryant before we move on to his actual update? Then we'll leave that there. Sorry, there were meant to be a couple more people who wanted to say something to you, but they've obviously been delayed. So over to you, Bryant.
Paul, that was very sweet, and thank you for your kind words, and thank you, Frank, for your kind words. I really do appreciate it. It's been an interesting 2 years, and but it's been great working with you and working with everybody, and we're
Good.
always doing what we can to to try to be as responsive as we can. So I thank you for that. It's actually right now performance review season at RIAC, so it probably sounds like I paid you to do this, but is anybody's paying attention? No, I did not put Paul up to it, but thank you, Paul. That was very nice, and I do appreciate it. And I'll go through my updates really quick. Just some top level stuff. I want to just start with the tram. As everybody hopefully knows at this point, we sped the tram back up a couple of weeks ago on a trial basis, in coordination with our tram operator, Leitner Poma, and the Department of Labor. Not to go over everything again 100 times, but the onboard communication system for the tram does need to be replaced fully. But in the last year, Poma has done a lot to try to fix some of the issues that were causing communications interruptions that would then lead to instances of periodic swaying. I don't think we've had an instance of swaying really in several weeks, if not months. And when they do happen, we got it down to it was happening like 0.02% of the time. So everybody felt pretty good about speeding the tram back up. Seeing how that went, the 2-week trial went very well. And so we're just going to leave it in effect as it is now, every 7.5 minutes during rush hour, every 15 minutes, non-rush hour. Much easier schedule. We'll be moving more people more frequently, which is important, especially as the weather warms up. So that's a step in the right direction. We'll still be doing the full communication system replacement, but that's for a little further down the line. So we'll try to make that happen as soon as we can. But in the meantime, we're in a pretty good spot. Also, just flagging, we are doing some repair work at the Manhattan tram station this week, starting tomorrow. It won't affect the tram operations at all in terms of the scheduling. The trams are going to run on their normal schedule. The only thing it'll affect is for one day, which I believe is tomorrow, the main entrance on the Manhattan side will probably be closed to accommodate the work. PSD will be on site all day, an extra PSD detail, probably bringing people up the exit staircase, but we'll have enough people in place to manage that. So it'll be a little bit of a pain tomorrow, probably on your commute back to the island. But we, I think, anticipate that only being in effect for one day. So just flagging it for the folks on this call. One other thing I just wanted to touch on, we have a board meeting this coming Thursday. An advisory is going to be going out about it maybe during this phone call, just reminding folks. And then we had an operations committee meeting last week wherein we talked a little bit about our 2025 island events. That falls under my department, community affairs, Earth Love Day, Roosevelt Island Day, the summer movie series, Fall for Arts, Halloween parade, and tree lighting. That's all run by my department. And what we did was past year, we sent out a questionnaire to folks, try to get some feedback on some of the events, what we can do to improve it, what we're doing well. And the feedback sort of resulted in the odd man out ended up kind of being Earth Love Day. It was just it's not particularly well attended, in spite of all the programming and efforts we make in it. It's also in a tough time of year, end of April. The weather's never so great. So we decided this year we're going to eliminate it and then put those resources into the other events. So our first main event will be Roosevelt Island Day in June. Look out for some more communications about the full schedule in the coming weeks. We'll also be sending another questionnaire out to ask for folks to pick the movies we'll be showing in the summer movie series. We did that for the first time last year. It was very successful, so we'll be doing that again. We'll let folks choose our slate of movies. And in general, for all the events, we always reach out to community groups about participating, and we love having the participation and the community feedback. But if there's anybody on this call who's interested in doing something particularly for, really Roosevelt Island Day is sort of the big one, or tabling or some type of activity for kids, we are always open to those ideas and always happy to hear them. So please feel free to reach out to me or Amanda or Iris on my team. We're working on doing all the planning now, but looking forward to another nice year of events on Roosevelt Island. They're well received, and I think they do a nice job building bridges between the community. So that's what we're shooting for, and that's what we're going to keep doing. And I will keep it at that, Paul.
Thank you, Brian. I just want to say very quickly, I think those are wonderful things. I love Roosevelt Island Day. I love the festivals that we have. It's wonderful seeing just the Commons area by River Cross thronging with people and food trucks and people having fun. So it's great. Why don't we go to Sharon, please?
Hi, and good evening. I wanted to circle back to the movies, and um, I'm going to make this a yearly request, which is that you include more international films. And also, I know that most of the films are for families, which I think is fantastic. Uh, but perhaps adding a film for adults, that might be great for people who want to hang out without the kids. Let me tell you, there's some parents who would welcome that as well. So more international films, please. And we're not afraid of subtitles, by the way.
Okay.
And more, adult films.
So I can help out with one of the two requests. So in terms of the international films, we are kind of at the mercy of some of the films that are available from our vendors. And we do have to make sure that we kind of are picking things that are going to be broadly sort of like. One of the feedback we did get on the questionnaire was, can you do a little bit more for older moviegoers? And while I can't say we're going to go into R-rated movies, with this year we will have
Yes.
some PG-13 movies available that might be a little more appealing to older adults or kids. So
Okay.
and then the voting
Fantastic.
is in out of our hands. At that point, it's whatever you guys pick.
No, I understand completely. But we have to start off with something. And so you present the choices. And thank you very much for considering those two options. I appreciate it, Paul.
Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else have anything for Bryant? Looks like not. So thank you, Bryant. Let's move on to our second agenda item, which is our library update with Brandon. Over to you, please, Brandon. Oh, hang on. Before you go, Brandon, someone's put their hand up. Maggie.
Hi, I did have a question. Can you please say again which event you were canceling? I couldn't understand.
Yeah, so the event we're canceling is Earth Love Day. That's the event we hosted in April. It's usually centered around Earth Day. It's a day that was built around sort of promoting, sustainable living on the island, environmental causes. What we think we can do is we think we can integrate a lot of sort of the more popular elements of that into Roosevelt Island Day or some of the other days. And it just wasn't, it just was never particularly well attended. And it's easier for our team to, it's one less day to have to plan for. We can put a little more resources and effort into some of the other events. It just kind of made sense to scale back a little bit. And it was I mean, I'm all for the sentiment of the day and what we were trying to do, but it wasn't particularly. It was voted the least engaging. It was voted least popular, and it was kind of by a wide margin. So we'll try to take what we can from that worked and move it into the other days and make the other events a little better.
Thank you, Bryant. Let's go on to Brandon, please.
Hello.
Hey,
It's been
Brandon.
a while since I've seen some of you. I have a personal update. I just had a baby last month, so that's why I've been MIA for a little bit. But it's good to be back. It's good to see some familiar faces. So not much has changed in library world. We still have a good amount of our bread and butter programming, excuse me. Our English conversation classes started up again. They're Mondays at 10 a.m. So definitely pass the word on about that. It's a great kind of low stakes environment to practice English with your peers on the island. We also just started doing a Scrabble group at 5 o'clock on Mondays that we're hoping to see some more faces at. We're still doing on Wednesdays crochet at 12:30. And this month, Sharon, we have an adult movie screening, Becoming Jane, at 5 p.m. Um, I believe, oh no, on the 5th at 5 p.m. and on the 19th at 5 p.m. We have two movies screening. One of them is Becoming Jane. I forget the second one. Our book discussion this month is on the 12th at 6 p.m. It's going to be on Wise Gals by Natalie Holt. You can get a copy at the branch. You can just ask for it at the circulation desk. For kids, we have more or less the same program story times from ranging from babies to toddlers, Monday through Thursday. We have on Mondays a pre-K story time that starts at 3:30. That's a little bit new. And that's more or less all I got.
Thank you, Brandon. I have one question for you. Are you planning to have again this year the music around the back, like the jazz and stuff like that in the summer?
Yeah, we're waiting to finalize some plans with Sushil, and I think I got to speak with Bryant about it too. But definitely, we would love to do some musical arrangements in the courtyard again, and definitely we're gonna be doing a summer kickoff as well, and there'll be music for that as well.
Brilliant. For those of you who never saw this, if you keep an eye out for this, it's just a lovely thing on a nice summer's day, music around the back of the library. It's so well done. So thank you. Let's go to Sharon. There's a question.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. And thank you so much for the adult movies.
Yes. I don't know if
Uh,
everyone's gotten a chance to look at it, but we actually put a good amount of money into the community rooms, the AV system. So there's a new projector, new speakers. It came out very nice.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Brandon.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
We have one of the best libraries, maybe the best library in the whole of New York City. And it's not just the
I
building,
agree. I
program.
agree.
It's fantastic.
100%.
Thank you, Brandon. The next item on the agenda, and congratulations again, Brandon.
Thank you.
Number 3 is community update. This is a chance where anybody else has something they want to say about something going on the island. If anybody does have something, please raise your hand. Looks like not. So then I want to go on to the main order of business for today about 3K education on the island. I'm going to ask Kevin if you could please unmute Tanya and Emanuela. I'm going to ask you two to take it from here, please. Emanuela Grinberg and Tanya.
Okay.
Hey guys,
There's
good
Emanuela.
evening.
Hello. Well, we have just the thing for Brandon and his new child, and all the other families on this call. But basically, Tanya and I and Ariana Gutierrez, who just joined, we're here kind of representing a very small but passionate and engaged group of Roosevelt Island families in an effort to try and bring more 3K and pre-K seats to the island. And we're really just using this venue right now to sort of make our pitch, hopefully recruit others, or get them interested in learning more. because what we have quickly learned is that this is a big issue that has a lot of facets to it. And if we're going to be effective and reach goals that are achievable, or even identify goals that are achievable, we need help, and we need hopefully we would like to rally others behind our cause. But very long story short, we showed up at the last meeting thanks to Tibor. Tibor as well, who has also been a huge part of this. We always forget the dads. No, not really, but so we basically, this time of year is always when in the family group chats, there's a lot of frenzied conversation about like the lottery for 3K and pre-K seats. And these are, seats that are funded by the, City Department of Education for, pre-K and 3K education. And so basically kind of what happened organically, and Ariana was really, started it, was she just happened to come into conversation with, we are both RIDN parents. We have children at RIDN in the paid daycare program. And we Ariana, as I understand it, just sort of came into conversation with Jean Monaco about the fact that every year RIDN has been asking to add a class of 3K students. Right now they have one 15 seats class for 3K. And every year RIDN, I guess for the past couple of years, has been trying to add more seats. Basically, though, by swapping out the 3K seats or swapping out pre-K seats they have for 3K seats. And the reason they want to do that is because they feel that there's a greater need, they have a longer wait list for 3K seats than they do pre-K seats. And they see it as more of a way to sort of like, keep the seats that they have open for the Roosevelt Island community. But this is supposed to be a short story, but basically that just galvanized us into, trying to write letters to, the Department of Education, to sort of support RIDN's proposal. The more we learned about it, then we learned about how they want to, we learned the full scope of the proposal, which was, to swap out their pre-K seats for 3K seats. Obviously, this was a little controversial for some of the family members, families on the island who feel like they're just, it's a Band-Aid, solution that just pushes the problem down the road. But so from that, we just started investigating and, trying to figure out whatever, we could. And that's when we realized this is a lot of work and we need help. So actually, I would like to screen share. So in the space of a month, thanks to the recommendations of everybody who attended last month's meeting, we started gathering data. We came up with a beautiful one sheet, which I would love to share with you. Here, let's see if it'll work.
There we go.
Here I go. Hope you all see it. Okay, so this basically summarizes where we are right now. We've identified 3 goals. Basically the short-term one is to support RIDN's proposal in progress to add another class of 3K, to add another 15-seat 3K class to their current program. In the short term, so that's our short-term goal. And the reason we're doing that is because it exists. Right now, RIDN is the only school on the island or education center that is wants to expand it all for a variety of reasons that we are still learning and becoming aware of. And then, but then, we've learned that there's a bigger citywide initiative just sort of which is we've adopted as our medium-term goal to reevaluate the placement process to prioritize accessibility and convenience for families, taking into account proximity. And I'll jump around a little bit, but I think why this matters, I think is pretty obvious for all of us who live here. We love our island. It's an amazing place to be, but, we have some unique transit issues sometimes owing to, just New York City MTA in general, or one train, tram, ferry. So, you have a situation where a lot of times families are hit with these last minute delays, and it's hard to get to school and to work. So, that's why we see this as an issue. But in the long term, because we do want to, ultimately find goals that are more inclusive and, benefit everybody on the island, not just parents with or families with 3K students. we want to like investigate and figure out how we can get more, they call it UPK or pre-K spots on the island. So that is our long-term goal. And, I think we've already gone over basically why this matters to us. We would all love to work and probably go to school as close to home as we can, just to cut down on commute time, cut down on stress, and it just fosters community. When you sort of see, I know as someone who lives, above RIDN, it's just very sweet to see, families coming and going every day, and it just makes you feel like, emphasizes, this unique, special nature of our community. So Tanya and Ariana really dug into some data. They used some of the data, available from the DOE to support our initiative. And so yeah, I'm going to hand it off to Tanya to sort of hit on some of the high level data.
It's, I think, on the second page, and it
I think you
actually
just need to
supports
scroll
our
down.
goals. Yeah.
Oh, I only have one page.
No, it's at the bottom here. I think.
Yeah, that works.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you,
okay.
Brianna. Thank you, guys. Actually, our data here, I hope you guys can see in terms of the 2024 applicants. So it actually connects to all of the goals that Emanuela talked about earlier. So altogether, we have only 2 facilities on the island that are supporting 3K program. Each facility has only 15 seats, which means, 1 room in one facility, which is PS 217, and another room at RIDN facility, which also supports only 15 seats. Out of these schools, like Emanuela mentioned, there is a possibility that has been entertained by RIDN directors for multiple years to add more seats for that specific facility. If we're going to succeed, it's going to add, altogether in totality, it's going to be 45 seats for 3K children. And as you guys can see on the graph, there are, for the past year, 97 seats that we actually needed. And that's just 3K students, That does not include, because in the previous years, they were not separating data at the DOE archive to show the difference between 3K applicants and altogether, they were bunching it all together with the preschooler applicants. What I have seen is that there is something that is consistent year after year, starting from 2018, 2017. The data shows that we have each year at least 100 kids or closer to 100 kids that need to be placed. And we consistently have only 30 seats to offer to them. When it comes to, preschoolers, like Emanuela mentioned, even RIDN has more seats for older kids. Let me double check. I think it is almost 50. It's 48 seats for preschoolers. And of course, PS 217 also has preschooler seats. Now, we are not sure exactly in terms of what's going to happen with our midterm, like medium-term vision and long-term vision. Can we expand? And that's why we also need your guidance and your experience. Can we expand beyond that? Can we ask for more? How can we achieve that goal to add more seats? Because, 97 versus 45, still a significant gap for the remaining kids. And these are all local kids. We double checked and triple checked the data. Those are not the kids, let's say from Astoria who are trying to apply for the local kids. No, those are the kids that live here and the parents, families with siblings that also live here. In terms of going back to data, how do we compare to other districts, to other school districts and specific geographical locales? I double checked all of the zip codes, and it seems like Staten Island, out of all of the islands, is way more successful placing kids in 3K because they have the success rate of 92. Ariana, I hope I'm not lying. Let me double check. I think it was, yeah, all the way at the top. 95. Most of the Staten Island zip codes have a 91 to 95% chance of their 3K kids getting into a free 3K program. We are not so lucky, even compared to parts of Manhattan. So for Roosevelt Island zip code, we are at the lowest 33%. So when the parents are joining this call and they see the chances, what are our chances to even get these seats, all together, and win the lottery and being even placed anywhere in the district too, they're very slim. And, I wanted to, again, mention the transit issues. We just talked about the tram at the start of the meeting. Yes, I understand. And thank you, Brian, for mentioning that now it's being fixed. It's going to be sped up. But as you guys know, Roosevelt Island is getting more and more on people Instagram feeds. The tourists keep pouring in. These are folks that also are using our public transportation. So even though we are lucky to have 3 different methods, imagine you have a toddler and it already took 2 hours to get him into his snowsuit in the middle of winter. And now you have to do 2 connections because let's say F train is down or the tram is being taken over by the tourist mob. And the ferry runs only every 30 minutes. So if you're on the tight schedule, which daycare centers, 3K centers are, we're missing the day. We're missing multiple days. It depends on, when exactly we are in that schedule. And we are not trying to over dramatize, but it's a big critical issue for every family on Roosevelt Island once they start having kids. What are we going to do? This drives families away from the island, especially families who are renting on the island. They do have, mobility. They do have opportunity to move out. So I think you guys as a community board altogether noticed that in the past 10 years, there's a very strong plea to support families, invite more families, the new blood coming in with the kids establishing themselves and being rooted in this community. But if we're not supporting families by adding these spots, it's going to drive them away.
Thank you, Tanya.
I'm not missing anything.
Anything else? Before we go to Sharon, so let's go to Sharon first straight away. I've got some things to say, but I'll wait till others have spoken. Can we unmute Emanuela, please, also, and Ari? Yeah. Kevin, can you?
Thank you.
Sharon, would you mind unmuting Emanuela as well, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, Ariana, do you have anything you want to add or in terms of the data or just or Tibor? Okay.
I think you
yeah.
spoke beautifully to everything we've been talking about over WhatsApp.
Sorry, Sharon.
Yeah. So again, yeah, the plea is just for guidance, help, tips. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sharon.
All yours, Sharon.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Paul. I wanted to ask for the 30 seats that are available, how long has Roosevelt Island had 30 seats? And also, was there an adjustment to the number at all?
I can answer that question. So let me just triple check and double check my data. So 15 seats in each facility existed since we checked the archives, and archives started in 2017. So I don't see any change in that number.
Because 3K
Oh,
itself is relatively
oh,
new.
oh, I
Mhm.
see, I see. Okay. And also, if you don't make the 3K on Roosevelt Island, what is the district that people are sending their kids to?
It's District 2. District 2.
Okay, where is that?
It's located on the biggest, I would say the largest part of Manhattan. So it would still require, it's not in Queens, it would still
Okay,
require
that's what I
families
wanted to know.
to go
Upper
to
Okay.
East Side,
Manhattan.
Upper East Side primarily. But I would note that
Yeah, there's
people often have to travel outside the district. So
Mhm.
yeah.
people do that. Is that right, Ariana?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go to the playground in June, and that's all anybody's ever talking about is, oh, I got my only offer that I got for my child was in Chinatown. Some folks find it easier to commute in Long Island City, and they think they have a better chance of getting into Long Island City, so they'll, apply for those seats. But I think, Tanya, when you looked at the numbers,
Mhm.
I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were still total from the zip code 10044, which is that total number of applicants in the blue, is 97 from last year.
Yes.
30 got spots on the island and 67 got spots altogether, which left another 30 without any offers whatsoever.
Exactly.
So I'm not too familiar with this process, so I wanted to ask a follow-up question. Have other districts had their numbers adjusted upwards?
Last year, yeah, there was an adjustment. I mean, unless if either of you all want to take that.
Please.
So last year, so a few things happened, right? This was a de Blasio initiative when the current mayor took over, Mayor Adams, he actually reduced the number of seats available across the board, is my understanding. And then because there was such an uproar from a lot of parents, I believe that last late spring, early summer, there was an adjustment for on the order of like 7 to 10 schools that got more seats again. And part of the reason is some of the original funding for the 3K program was from the expanded scope for the 3K program came from the COVID funds that were made available at a federal level. And those, I believe, ran out 2022, so impacting the 2023 to 2024 school year.
Okay, so is this about the squeaky wheel gets the oil? I
Maybe.
mean, is,
What
is
the
this about, is this about increasing advocacy to increase the number of seats for Roosevelt Island? I mean, what would be the next steps?
Yes.
Let me
I
jump in
think
with a couple
that's
of comments, if I may. So one thing I think that'd be very helpful, I think the elected official who can help you most, we spoke about this, is Julie Menin, our council member. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'd asked you before to send me an email. I think we've actually got the solution already in front of us. If you could email me with just a couple of lines, but this one pager does everything it needs to do. And I will take that one pager and use that to introduce you to Harry Gale, who's in Julie Menin's office.
Mhm.
Also Sharon, and I think Laurie's here as well from CB8. I've spoken to someone called Addison Lev, Lehv, who's one of the two chairs of the Youth and Education Committee. And he's very interested in to see if he can help you. So again, I'll do the same thing with that email with this wonderful one pager. And he's by far the best person on Community Board 8. Well, they are, because they know how DOE works and I don't. But I think Sharon's exactly it. It's about advocacy. I'm sure everyone across the whole of New York City, all boroughs, is asking for more. Maybe not Staten Island, maybe everybody else is. And so it's about advocacy, persuading people like the council member to help you, the community board, if they think there's something they can do to help as well, and anyone you can, getting publicity, press, anyone. But that's what I wanted to say. Frank, please.
Hi, thank you. So as we were president, this is something actually I looked at several times over the years, and I've been studying the Roosevelt Island population, uh, which is actually the youth population has decreased in the teens. And one of the things that I noticed, because I would look at it with the American Community Survey and such, which is not, it is an estimate, of course, but and then you have the every 10 years census, but it turned out that uh, that you'd have youth on the island for from 0 to about 5 to 6, and then they would depart the island. Our hunch was that they were for parents who were only here for a short while. It wasn't like they were like at one of the university buildings here and such. The other thing was that, as Paul has mentioned, was that Council Member Kalos, so that was our prior council member, did go to battle, for the community every year and to try to pick up some of those extra seats. And then the reason why you have a better, at least I believe, better numbers in Staten Island is because the overall, it has nothing to do with Staten Island per se, other than it being flat, well connected, lots of people drive, okay, and you don't have transportation obstacles like a river on both sides of us and subways and such on that, whereas we have a lot of obstacles and a smaller population. Thus, the the supply that we could give regularly with a variable population, therefore then got us to lower numbers. Whereas the supply of a larger population, such as Staten Island, would provide more consistent numbers, and then you would fill then more slots because you could provide more seats on a regular basis, knowing that they would be, filled. So I think Paul's suggestion, which is to contact a council member, is a good one. But having been through this multiple cycles, just because you may get it working this year, it might not work the year after. And that's just the nature of living on an island where people generally don't use cars, and the the transportation, barriers that we have here. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to talk about this issue? Or Emanuela? Oh, yes, please, Tibor.
All right, hi. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the colleagues who had presented on my behalf, since I was juggling said 4 kids here. As we said, this is certainly partly an information gathering and a mobilizing of the community, both within REAC or RERA, but also the CB8 organization and its strengths. And Paul, appreciate that advice. And I can safely say almost not just the 3 or 4 parents or few here, but tens and many more, including myself, personally called every representative, and we'll of course keep that up. And I think we would hopefully appreciate, as suitable, you all as a larger entity kind of coming alongside that effort. So we'll certainly do that, and as your suggestion, Paul, we'll certainly take into place. I think we want to see Roosevelt Island grow. We understand there's fluctuation, but I think the statistics show steady need. It's not, I don't think, going away. It's not a year-to-year fluctuation. In fact, the transport issues are why we need it, because we do have not people driving. I don't own a car. I think many of us on the island don't own a car. We definitely don't want to rob Peter to pay for Paul. That's not the intention. And in fact, that's why the short-term ask is to see that we would hopefully get support for what our idea itself is asking for, to expand that slot. But in the medium to long term, we'd love to partner with the larger efforts for the CB8 community as a whole, and broadly speaking, the whole city, to see an improving 3K. So with that, as my kids are crying, I'll just say thank you for your support. We'll keep working on that.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all for coming here for this. Please, Emanuela.
maybe
Yeah.
just one data point just to show that we really are doing our research, and also just to show like the value of these serendipitous encounters. Just from sharing our link and trying to get people to join this meeting, someone reached out to me and pointed out to me that the Manhattan Borough president is actually working, has an initiative along these lines where they are trying to find more placements in the home-based daycares and education centers. So I just flagged that to show that this is an issue citywide that multiple entities are working on, and also just the value of having more people involved who can just contribute, little data points and tidbits, and whatever anybody has the capacity for. We're really keen to collaborate and partner.
Very good. Thank you. Look, I'm really glad that you came along to speak at this meeting. I very much want this meeting to be a place where people come with things that are important on the island, where you can find a forum, where you can look for new people joining or solutions, all of the above. So I'm really glad you came. I would encourage you, when I put you in touch with Harry, who is the community liaison for Julie Menin, to ask for a meeting with him. It could be Zoom or in person, but a chance to chat to him so you can explain to him what's going on and then ask him for help from the council member. So if that's all there is for tonight, I want to say thank you all for coming to this meeting. Sharon wants to say something before we close.
Is Brian still on the call? Brian?
Yes, he is. Brian, are you available?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi, Brian. Listen, I just wanted to ask you a quick question. And it's about the newspaper boxes that I've been seeing on Roosevelt Island. And
Okay,
I,
one second.
I know you're going to need some time to take a look at the newspaper boxes on Roosevelt Island. And maybe when you come back for the next Community Board 8 Roosevelt Island meeting, you could talk about that a little bit. I'm raising that as an issue with REAC. I'd like to know how these mailboxes are approved, and specifically because I know that there has been an effort, a successful effort, as a matter of fact, in Manhattan to have these mailboxes removed because they contribute to street clutter. And also visually, they can be extremely unsightly, and also become places where people leave trash and mark up the boxes. And so if you could just let us know how, how they began to appear
Are
and
you Sharon? Are you
why.
seeing more of them?
Yeah, I am. I can't say offhand exactly where, but I am seeing them, and so I was just wondering about the process overall. And quite frankly, I think that as a community overall, we could do without them. I know that has been an effort, in fact, that I have been a part of in getting these removed from areas on the Upper East Side, and I was very surprised to see them popping up on Roosevelt Island. So if you could, just get back to us about them, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know that there's, I mean, you'd have to tell me where you're seeing new ones. I haven't noticed newer ones in the area. The ones that I've noticed have been on the island, they predate me. If something new is coming in, I can't say this for certain. I don't think anybody's getting any approval for it. So
So
I'll
they
have to look into it.
so they were placed without
Are we
some type
talking
of.
about it's not like they're not like daily news dispensers, are they? They're like it's some other smaller papers or something.
Yes, but this is not about any particular type of paper. It's just the mailboxes themselves.
My
All right,
suggestion, can I make a suggestion? Sharon, next time you see one you're talking about, take a picture of it and send it to Bryant.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm not
yeah,
sure.
I mean, yeah,
I haven't seen
can
anything new, and
definitely.
nothing's come to me about approving new boxes in the area. So I'm curious which ones we're talking about.
Okay, can we get the existing ones removed?
Let me look into what would go into that.
Okay.
Can
Thank
we
you,
say hi to-
Paul.
You're welcome, Sharon. Can we say hi to Penny?
You want to say hi?
Hi, Penny.
Hi, everybody.
We like the job your dad's doing.
Thank you. Say
Anybody else
bye-bye.
have anything for tonight? Bye, Penny. Okay, thank you for coming this evening.